Hello everybody and welcome. Brad here with Full Spectrum Survival, and wow, you are all so amazing.
Meow! Huples cat. Kitty's on the way back from the Shire where she was swimming in hot lakes because the weather is very hot. It's 94 Fahrenheit outside and I've been rushing around doing last minute gardening work. Made myself an orange and pineapple and water smoothie. Perfect, because I don't really eat fruit and I should. The point of this video is to alert you to something you probably know about and probably just looked at and gone, no chance. Brad at Full Spectrum Survival, and he doesn't know I'm doing this, has been sending me his survival cards as a Patreon for ages. And I wasn't really entitled to the cards. I live in Canada, you're supposed to pay extra, etc, etc. But he's been doing it for a long time. You get 5 a time. So I would like to point out that some people are genuine, and Brad and Kelley, in my opinion, I may be proved wrong in the future, are genuine people. He sent me the cards when he really didn't need to send me the cards, and he's been sending them for years to me because he wants me to get the information, and I doubt it even covers his cost. His postage alone is like $2 American a month. So I actually finally got my conscience the better of me, and I actually increased my Patreon to him. So this isn't a plea for you to join his Patreon to get these cards. It's something you might want to think about, but if you can't afford it, you might want to look at doing your own version because the information's pretty good. And one of the main problems I have with these cards, Brad and Kelley, is that you laminate them so they will last forever. I know why you do that, but it's helping world pollution. But practically, they don't fit into 5x7 photograph albums, which would have been the ideal place to store them. So I was a bit stymied and looked at a few devices. Now, on the green theme, what I came up with, we don't buy this anymore, but you get these plastic containers all the time, and these actually fit well in there. Now you also get newsletters, and these also fit well in there. And the newsletters aren't waterproof, but the cards probably are. But if you put them inside a bucket like this and label it information, pen, information from Full Spectrum Survival. Information for Full Spectrum Survival, opening the apocalypse. Pretty good, eh? It's price competitive with a lot of stuff out there. Obviously, if you're going to do a subscription series like this just for the information he's sending, you're much better off finding books. And I've always felt that. I do continue to get a subscription series from Apocabox where they send me 3 little pieces of paper every month for $6. Ridiculous, and I should cancel it. Every so often though, they send me how to do bushcrafting skills that I've never heard of, wouldn't know how to do, and would be really useful to me, and I haven't particularly come across in any of the hardback books I've got. Recently I learned how to actually find and process clay from riverbeds, etc. to make my own pots. Now I can't imagine, again, in SHTF, ever having to make a pot. Houses are full of them. There's plastic buckets everywhere. I don't think it's really a skill you need for survival. I don't believe it's a skill you need for SHTF. But it would be a skill, that would be a useful skill to actually create barriers, clay barriers to channel water rather than just rely on plastic piping. Plastic piping might be an issue, especially if there's no gasoline. So every month or so, you get a newsletter. So this is the one from March 2020, the COVID threat. He's saying that basically in an outbreak people are going to have to stay at home unless they're critically ill, so you better learn some basic anatomy and physiology and some basic breathing exercises. Very true. But this goes back, look at this, March 2019. Things to watch out for. Tells you what's going on, tells you how to basically treat burns. This doesn't replace a nurse or a doctor or a really decent book like the one Nurse Saying Your Dr. Bones vlog, but it's handy dandy. And I'll explain why I think it's good. This was a recent one, I believe. Yeah, this is May 2019. This is a baseline health chart. Tells you stuff that's actually what you should be doing to get your physicality better. And what I really like about this is he puts this Excel sheet at the back. This is actually your name and your weight, blood glucose, ambient temperature, pulse, O2 saturation, blood pressure, body temperature, stress level and workload. This would be useful in any SHTF scenario to actually monitor people, and if you see baseline resting heart rates rising in the morning along with feeling of lethargy, that might be the day to put them on lighter duties, especially if it's hot or very cold. So this is actually good information. Like, you would need a nurse or a doctor in your group to actually get people to spontaneously do this stuff or do it for them every day in SHTF to look out for crashing illness coming before it hits. Because if you intervene early, you get people on bed rest and hydrate them and get them more higher rations, more protein rations, more calorie rations, you can actually avoid serious influenzas, serious colds, serious issues in SHTF. Remember, most people will be starving most of the time. And what about the cards? Now, to my undying shame, I'm one of the most disorganised people I know. I got accused of being OCD the other day because I put post-it notes all over the sterilised quarantine bathroom for Kitty's parents. Actually, no, it's because the toilets broke and they are a bit dopey and they would flush stuff down the toilet. But usually I'm not OCD. So I never knew these guys were actually professional photographers. Found that out, I think, 2 weeks ago. So they send cards. They're actually beautiful objects, generally speaking, in their own right. They also send you things like this. Little how to use basic cryptography. You may not know that, but it's actually a useful thing to do, especially if you're leaving messages to loved ones or friends at an area they expect you to be because you've had to force move. It's nice to do it. All sorts of things. Beautiful objects in of themselves. Now, one day when I'm retired, I'd like to do a bulky electronic newsletter, but that's a long way off in the future. It takes a lot of time and effort. But I'd also like to go through these and categorize them. That's something Brad and Kelley might want to think about, because like simple classification systems like S for security, F for food, W for water, E for entertainment, T for tools, something like that, just on the side of them would help people like me actually categorize them. And it tells you all sorts of useful tips, right? Fascinating stuff. You may not know this if you haven't been in the military. Pumpkins. That's probably a November one. Talks about power grid instability. Talks about the failure of trucking. All of this stuff tells you some plant IDs so you can get some nutrition. This is sage. Terracotta. How to make terracotta, what the problem is with terracotta, and what you can use them for. So it's a lot of stuff. Portaloos. Portaloos are actually a good thing to grab early on in SHTF. I've actually said myself that in an event of a sudden calamity, like a sudden nuclear war between India and China that looks like we're going to get involved in it, or even if we don't get involved in it, if it's bad enough, you might want to go to construction sites where nobody's probably at work early in the morning and grab all the toilet roll you can. Toilet roll is actually a kind of a prized commodity, it turns out, in SHTF. And certainly if you hit the Portaloos early, you might be able to grab yourself a lot of toilet roll. The same would go for public toilet access in a lot of places. But always leave a few rolls for people. Talks about food, talks about a whole bunch of things. So what's the point, Huples Cat, to collecting all of this information, glancing at the picture, reading it, putting it away?
Where am I?
In the village.
What do you want?
Information.
Whose side are you on?
That would be telling. We want information. Information.
You won't get it.
By hook or by crook? We will.
Basic evacuation using normal gear. I don't recommend a chair evacuation if there's any danger of a spinal injury whatsoever. If there's any danger of a spinal injury, you really want to keep them flat. Now, the argument with that is, if there's no healthcare available and they've got a spinal injury and they haven't had an injury, getting them immobile might actually cause more harm than good in the long run. But it gets kind of technical at that point. And generally speaking, with the trauma, if you haven't got nerve damage already, in an SHTF condition, you're not going to get nerve damage. Just always severe. So yeah, so they put up some black and white stuff. This one's kind of cool. Grave robbing. Graveyards have become rich resources and are often plundered by the living. The gold and silver from empty graves was used to melt down and trade. Mark graveyards on your area of operations map. They will be trafficked and eventually taken during a long duration emergency. Once robbed, rainwater contamination presents a health threat. Altogether sure that we will actually do that. I think most people know that there's not actually much jewellery put on people in graves. I'm not really sure about that. But what he's doing is he's looking at historical precedents and trying to transpose it to now. And who knows what would actually happen? Vitamin C, actually no. Vitamin C, but he's also talking about ginger. So ginger tea and how to make ginger tea and all the recipes. One of the things I got from him was a vegan chocolate cough recipe that was easily stored and easy to make, which was really good. I enjoyed that. And once in a while, actually the only time I know of it, he did this for his Patreons. He sent us a card. I really like that. See, there you go, upside below, and there's my name. So yeah. So why, Huples, do you think this is an important thing to get? Why do you think this is worth $10 American? Because that's what it is. The reason I think it's worth it is because for $120 American, you're going to get 60 of these cards. 60 of these cards. So that's $2 a card, right? As I said, for me, over a fifth of the total cost is postage for the guys. And then they have to laminate them and print out and all the rest of it, which on scale is not so bad, but remember these are small businesses, right? There's not a lot of this. You have to put them together every month and send them. So they're reliable, they're interesting, but for me, this is something that I think would be absolutely brilliant in SHTF. The reason being, not everybody's a prepper, not everybody's interested in prepping. Well, these days more and more people are. The kid is getting to be quite a prepper and telling me what I need to do. Anyway, something like this is easily buried at a bug out location. It's not going to really particularly get contaminated. You could put the newsletters in a Ziploc or two. But this would be good on a quiet afternoon or a quiet evening to actually open up and pass the cards around and get each member of the group to read what's on their card, or to show the picture and everybody has to guess what this topic is, and then talk what's on the card and have a discussion around their local circumstances in the SHTF they're in and the information given. I think that would be kind of a useful thing. Not everybody will agree with that. Not everybody has that money to spare. But I think it's actually, if you do, it's actually a valuable thing. It's not a bulky thing. It's not something that's actually going to deteriorate easily. It's something that I think would be a valuable communications tool in Grid Down. You could argue before Grid Down, but I don't think people take it that seriously or are that interested. What I'm thinking about for this is more like one or two serious preppers, whatever that is, and a bunch of other people who are new to prepping because their wills just died and now they're somewhat interested in the whole concept. Of course, it's not prepping now, we're surviving. It's different once it happens. So yeah, I think that'd be a great tool. So thanks, Brad and Kelley. I really appreciate your friendship online, and thank you for the private offers you've made for me or Kitty to talk to you if we were stressed at work over the COVID thing. I think it's fair to acknowledge that there are people out there who actually care about other people. We don't see eye to eye on some aspects of gun and security, but that's cool. Well, it would be a horrible world if we all agreed. Thank you for your valuable service, and have a great day. And if anybody drinks, this would be great with vodka, but I'm not drinking it with vodka. Toodles.
Hello everybody and welcome. Brad here with Full Spectrum Survival, and wow, you are all so amazing. As you know, we are well past our first and second goals on Patreon, and everybody now should be receiving their physical survival cards in the mail each and every month. And everyone that supports our work, even at $1, is receiving the same images, but in digital form, with and without a watermark, as a high-resolution image set that you can do practically anything that you want to with. For everyone that has received them, you know that our physical survival cards are created within the survival and preparedness genres. They're crafted to teach a specific part of a skill set with each and every month. From controlling arterial bleeding, to plant identification, escaping evasion, and preparing for a grid down crisis, our survival cards are there to give you something that is enjoyable to look at now, and to withstand the elements and the test of time, making them a part of your family's survival kit. And now we are only 3 $10 members away from reaching our third goal. With our third goal, we will begin creating weekly half-hour podcasts and interviews that are available only to our members here on Patreon. And we're also working on the creation of something extra just for you. You'll receive all of these rewards at our third goal, whether you contribute at $1, at $5, or at $10. And the best part of this is, you will get to suggest the topics to us. We'll go out and do all of the research and get the guests, and we will all benefit from your support. If you want to know about pandemic preparedness, biological warfare, first aid, nuclear fallout, or even the best methods for animal husbandry, we'll do all the research to give you even more of the information that you need to know. So if you haven't signed up yet and you want to receive the physical survival cards in the mail every month, as well as podcasts and other exclusive content, please help us get to that third goal. We'll have the podcast recorded and ready by the first of the month or even maybe sooner. So thank you all for all that you do here for the family at Full Spectrum Survival. We couldn't be here without you, and we are so thankful to have met each and every one of you. You've asked for more information and we're ready to give it to you. So from Brad and Kelley at Full Spectrum Survival, stay safe and keep watch.
This has been a 2020 Mr. Bear production.